That was a good Chewbacca impersonation, Auden.
Was it?
Yeah.
Do you say Chewbacca or Chewbacca?
Shut the fuck up.
Chewbacca.
Oh, okay.
I thought it's like Chewbacca. Isn't that with two C's?
Yeah.
Isn't that a CH sound?
Well, no, that's the designer brand on the Wookiee planet.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
Chewbacca is that's the plurals.
At
Yeah, I
the,
got a
at the
bunch of
yearly
Chewbacca.
Star Wars Star Trek convention, they get little tribbles dressed as Chewbacca and they play Chewbacca Bowl.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TechRaptor podcast. I'm Robert Scarpanito, your features editor.
Andrew Otten, editor-in-chief.
Rutledge Doggett, site founder.
Andrew Stretch, gotta go fast editor.
Classic. We're going to cover a lot of the Game Awards because that was the big news story of the last week with a ton of reveals. We're also going to talk about that Matrix demo that is so unreal. It's real, I guess. And we're also going to talk about the Halo Infinite campaign later today. So, the Game Awards. It was a 3.5 hour long event that felt like 7 hours, maybe.
It only sometimes featured awards.
Yeah,
Every
I
once
just
in a
went to
while.
bed.
Featured is a strong word.
Yeah, that's just sometimes. Sometimes the commercials were. I mean, the awards were the commercials.
They've made good progress. I remember, years ago at this point, it was probably closer to the Game Awards inception, or the Game Awards in its current form's inception, that they would come back from a commercial break and they would just be like, by the way, Nintendo won this award for Best Family Game. And it's like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Like, Reggie was there. Reggie was there to get the award, and it happened during a commercial break or something.
Mm-hmm.
That was strange.
Yeah, and there was just something about the energy when the awards came up where it kind of felt like even Jeff was a little... I mean, I know he wants to give the awards, but there's something about where he's just trying to get through it, like fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of feels so rushed that it's like, this isn't really an award show anymore, is it? I mean, it wasn't
never
ever,
was,
right? But
yeah.
No, yeah, but
Sponsored by Gillette.
It's like if we're here to celebrate, the last year of games. Let's do that by looking to the future games and not talking about the old games at all. Like,
yeah.
it feels weird.
Yeah, because there were just like, I think the ones that rubbed me the wrong way the most was whenever they would say like, and here are the nominees, and this is the winner. Like, there's like literally a 2-second delay. Like they just show the nominees on the screen, and like that's it. Not even saying the names of them unless it's the winner. That just feels like, then why are we here? You could have just tweeted this. And that's the last thing I should be thinking when I'm sitting there watching a 3.5 hour long event.
This could have been an email.
Yeah. Well, it's just such a bummer to like. This is, for better or worse, this is the event for the biggest awards for in gaming. There's nothing compares. Mm-hmm. And it's just such a bummer that it doesn't really celebrate those really they'll do some cool stuff with the orchestra, or like they did the Supergiant stuff with their music with Corb and all them. But
And Imagine Dragons.
yeah, it's just, I don't know.
But
it feels
it's thematic, at least. The Imagine Dragons. Like, it could have been worse. They could have come up and played Radioactive.
Yeah.
But they were like playing something from something video game related.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, and they played their song from that League of Legends thing too, right?
Yeah.
But I think let's start getting into the show itself. So, as we all know, over the past week before the Game Awards really happened, there was a lot of people asking Jeff to say something about the whole Activision Blizzard thing and, that big controversy. And there was a little bit of waffling going on there, right? Until he finally said that beyond the nominations, they are not involved in the show. And then he opened the show with a fairly, I guess it was a firm, right, stance on, like, there is no place for harassment in this industry, and we do not stand for it. Also, here is a Quantic Dream game.
Yeah, well, like, the statement was like the equivalent of coming out and being like, hey guys, murder's bad. I don't think we should do that. And it's like, yeah, we all agree.
It was like I'm sure it was as targeted as his legal team would allow him to let it be targeted.
I believe you mean as targeted as his board would allow him.
Yeah, I'll say, yeah.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, because what's it, Rob Kostick?
Well, Ubisoft, Riot, and Blizzard are on their board. So,
right.
And those are the three biggest companies that not only we are not covering, but are a huge problem for the industry at the moment when it comes to taking care of their people and harassment and a number of other just really screwed up things.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. I on one hand, like, I can't be mad that he said it because, you know, I mean, it's like, yeah, murder is bad, of course, but at least, like, he is saying it. But then what's the next step after that, right? Because it just kind of feels like a half step for something that could be something greater, right?
Yeah, it felt very half-hearted, and it could have been more impactful than what was said. It's like, you know, harassment's bad, here's a hotline. And that's it. Like, there needed to be more meat on it. It felt like, okay, we're shoehorning this in because everybody's been dunking on us all week. It didn't feel like an actual... And maybe it was, again, it was the most they could do without, you know, pissing off their board. But at the same time, like, we all know that harassment is a huge deal in this industry, and we see it as, you know, men. I can't even imagine how women deal with it, but it's this thing that is consistently not taken seriously by companies.
Yeah.
And the only way we're going to see change is if we hold these companies accountable, and what was done was not holding anyone accountable.
No, but it points to a much bigger issue with how this industry works. So Jeff, and not just him, but any big outlet, we're so dependent and reliant upon these big companies being in their good graces in some way because they are the gatekeepers of their information. And if they do not want to share it with us, they can tell us to piss off. And there's nothing we can do about it. And that's kind of how these companies live on this kind of stuff. Same with like Jeff, he wants to do all these announcements or whatever, these partnerships and stuff. Like, it's a much... I don't know, there's way too much intertwining. There's not enough, like, separation between stuff within the gaming industry. And so Jeff making that kind of announcement is not a surprise, but it is very, very indicative of how this industry works. And the fact that he said that at all with how intertwined this industry is and that everybody kind of knew what he was saying is kind of remarkable-ish in a way. Like, he said about as much as he could without, like, screwing himself over potentially with these big companies. If he's wanting to make this Game Awards into this big deal, he kind of needs to keep them happy. For better, like, I'm not saying this is good at all. This is just how things work in this industry. So if you like compare it to like the other big awards, like the Oscars or something for like movies, those are like all made, like, it's an academy of the makers, the creators that do it themselves. There's no like weird third part, like, that's who it is. So they kind of just control themselves. It's got its own problems, obviously, but
right.
It's them doing it. There's no like, oh, we have to keep everybody happy kind of a deal. They'll play it. They're perfectly happy saying shit at the Oscars. But
well, it's why games media has this, I guess, unique relationship with developers, right? Like, where if we say something bad, it's easy to get blacklisted. And okay, why isn't so and so covering this topic anymore? Why aren't they getting game code, stuff like that? Which is probably why a lot of outlets tiptoe. And you know, Kotaku, Polygon, those guys, I know I kind of slam them a bit for not doing anything, but they have private investors that are going to be driving that for the most part. And so we're, as an outlet, lucky to kind of have that ability to say things like we're saying and not worry too much. Like, if Blizzard, Ubisoft, and Riot don't work with us anymore, I don't care. You know, for us, they're not our main focus when it comes to coverage anyway. Like, we focus on a pretty broad range. We've got a big indie focus. And at the end of the day, if we have to buy copies ourselves, we'll buy a copy ourselves to get a review.
Well, to be fair, too, I think the rest of the media landscape for gaming has done a pretty good job of holding them accountable so far. particularly with this Activision Blizzard stuff lately. Pretty much everybody. I mean, like you mentioned Kotaku, they put out an article that was basically like, "Hey, Bobby Kodak's always been a piece of shit." Was basically what the article said, or the title even. I can't remember what it was.
Them or Polygon dropped an article yesterday too about the union busting tactics. Where like please don't union or whatever. I thought that was pretty good. The Gamer dropped one yesterday that basically just dunked on the wording of the email. So I think we're seeing Games Press realize like at this point we've got to slam this because it's getting out of control. Like the fact that Blizzard is doing what they're doing and just not giving a shit is insane. Jessica Gonzalez tweeted about 30 minutes ago that Blizzard was telling QA workers to work the first half of the day up until lunch, and then my dog is losing his mind in the background.
Red's dog is in the background there, just going.
He's rubbing his back. But she tweeted about how Activision was like, "Hey, you should be working until lunch, and then you can go and strike." And
no, that's not how strike works.
One, it's not how strikes work, and two, it forfeits your rights if you do that. Which is very misleading to staff who may not know better than what's coming their way.
Better. That's definitely a tactic. Like, I
mean,
we have 60, 70 years of big companies learning how to fuck over people that are trying to unionize or are in a union. Yep. So they've got a deep well of tricks to try to screw these people over with.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, to get back to the Game Awards, I get why he probably did that. It is frustrating to see when that platform is, you had hundreds of thousands of people watching that all at once. Like, you could have had a really, really big impact as a show to say something more meaningful. But at the same time, coming from the end where you're kind of fed by the hand that you'll be talking about, I can get it. If you want to survive as a show.
There's the longer term hope too that maybe this is just like step one in a bigger, like let's say this shit still is in the news come December 2022. What would Keighley say then? Because now, he's built the stepping stone of like, we did a very light condemnation 2021. Things have only gotten worse. Like, do we have to step up our response as well? Right. And maybe that's what happens. Maybe that's not.
I mean, if we think of the timeline, like this Activision Blizzard stuff, July was when it really came out. But like in terms of a lot of movement on it, it's been slowly happening over the past few months. So like, how much time has he had to really make change if he wanted to? Like, let's say he does want to make change to Game Awards, but he just hasn't been able to yet, or something, or whatever he's doing. Who knows? The fact, like, I just want to give him credit for saying it at all, because while obviously he didn't say outright name names, people knew exactly what he was talking about. People that know the story, for him to say it at all is actually kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
that's a fair
even
point.
If it was half-hearted.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair point. It's a 3-hour show that has probably been in the works for 6+ months.
Yeah,
so it's hard to make a big change. So I can understand that completely.
Yeah, I think that goes back to what I was saying earlier about how like the awards, most of them feel like they were just tiny little squeezed in, whatever, right? So if we can barely fit in 1/3 of the name of the show, the Game Awards, if we can barely fit that in, like, I mean, like, not to, like, I don't want to say we should sweep it under the rug, but I can see why it would take a lot of like effort to figure out how do we fit in something that feels meaningful and heartfelt, but also the teleprompter is going to be going super fast. We got to get through the shit because we have so much to show and so many commercials to play. In terms of just production,
I think that they were
that's a lot.
I think that they were at 8 or 9 new announcements by the time that the 30-minute pre-roll show was done.
Yeah, something crazy.
Yeah, the pre-roll's just part. Yeah.
Insane. I mean, it was a stupid long show. I think I went to bed at about an hour before it was supposed to be done because I can't stay up any longer. I'm old. But yeah, what I saw those first 2 hours, it was a boatload of announcements and trailers and stuff like that, and it was nice catching up in the morning with our recap,
which you can find in the description below or in the show notes.
It's got every announcement. I think it should have a trailer to everything that was shown.
Yeah, it's got a link to every single trailer. because some of them wouldn't embed because of like I think age gating and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now I do want to ask this before we like go into specific announcements that really excited us. But so yes, there were a lot of announcements, right? But did it feel exciting? Question mark. You know what I mean? Like, because when cause I didn't watch it live. I caught up after the fact, and I read some headlines, and I was like, huh. I mean, I guess that was a Game Awards. You know, and to me, there just wasn't like that oh shit moment, or even multiple of those.
No, Alan Wake got me. That was, yeah. I was like, fuck
Sonic
yeah.
the Hedgehog got me.
I think that, well, it was because that one report came out that there's 4 to 5 Elden Ring level announcements, and you hear that and you're like, okay, that should be a big thing. And there wasn't anything that came across as like a big thing. If we want to get into the games now, the one that did initially was Star Wars Eclipse. Everybody's like, oh shit, that looked crazy. And then the big Quantic Dream logo showed up and dashed all hopes.
Yeah, it was weird. You know, it showed so much action and so many different locations, and we know that there's the KOTOR remake happening, and you know, it's potentially an exciting time to be a Star Wars fan. It really looked like it was going to be some like big, awesome. Large scale, like maybe even, you know, a Jedi Fallen Order like prequel kind of thing. Like I was going to be like, yes, let's go, let's explore, let's see like the High Republic in all of its glory. And then the Quantic Dream logo showed up, and it's like, oh, we're gonna be slowly walking around a large palace room on Naboo, inspecting Star Wars items. Oh, I don't care. And also, you know, everything else we know about Quantic Dream and how they are also their own level of problematic.
Yeah.
That was a harsh whiplash.
Yeah. Extreme excitement to
Yeah, like we have the TechRaptor Slack where like several of us were talking about the show as it was going on, and when that trailer was going, everybody was losing their shit, and then I was like, oh fuck, Quantic Dream at the end of it, because not only one of like Stretcher saying like we kind of know what kind of games they make, and it's like, okay, I mean, it's not probably not going to be the most exciting Star Wars-y thing unless they're going way out of their usual design.
Which if they do, that would be dope. Like cool.
Yeah, but it's Quantic Dream. I mean, like all their controversy aside, this is how if you played Beyond Two Souls, the way they shook up the idea of like, let's have excitement in it, is they did those weird QTEs, but there wasn't like a prompt. You would just like watch the scene halfway unfold, freeze frame, and you have to guess which direction to point the right stick. That was innovative gameplay to them. So could you fucking imagine that with like lightsabers, where like you're playing as one of the Jedi, I guess, and then you're about to swing the lightsaber, and then it's like, now you have to guess which way to point the right stick to do the swing right. Like, I don't know, man. I don't see that being fun.
You got to choose like Infinity Blade.
I mean, if we're gonna, they're not stupid. I'm sure they have to know, like, okay, people see Star Wars, they're like, and especially if people like don't know what High Republic is for Star Warsy times, that's pre what the movies were in, and this is kind of like the height of the Jedi's power. We're like, Jedi are everywhere, and they're cool as fuck and doing all kinds of stuff. So they're all over the place doing things. So there should be just tons of stuff to do with it. And so people are going to go in expecting, oh sweet, there's Jedi everywhere, so I should be able to be a cool ass Jedi doing whatever I'm doing. So I would hope that they realize that that's the experience. Like they see Fallen Order particularly, like, okay, people really, really liked that. That's more, we need something closer to that than, you know, a high budget narrative, like adventure-y, walking around.
They're kind of like, you know, if Telltale Games is kind of like the popcorn flick, Quantic Dream is kind of like the Oscars bait of narrative storytelling.
They're like the M. Night Shyamalan of the game.
Yeah, I think that's a close thing, because like, I think Quantic Dreams, they want to be the Oscar bait, but it's one of those like you see it from the outside and you're like, oh, that game must have a deep message, and it's like, oh wait, not really. Androids are just to fill in for race. Okay, what, you know, it's just very dumb and surface level, but it makes you think through something deeper. And if you do dig deeper, you find out David Cage is sexist. So like no matter what, it just kind of sucks overall, right?
Yep.
You know what doesn't suck though? The ideas of coasting through an open world as the blue blur. Sonic the Hedgehog let run wild on the fields. Oh, it's going to be amazing.
That was a pretty blurry transition.
I'm not gonna lie. There was a moment I was watching that trailer and I was like, this legit looks like someone modded Sonic into Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it looks like to me.
Okay.
That trailer, I looked at that, I was like, this is the trailer? Like someone was like, this looks good. No.
I am excited for it.
No.
I'm not gonna lie.
How?
I mean, how? Because look, I love 3D Sonic for better or worse.
What?
Right? Yeah, because they're just so stupid. Like it's just ridiculous watching it happen. Because when it's good, it's fun, right? But then they're like, but what if Sonic turned into a werehog and it was now God of War but shitty, right? Like that's their big brain ideas they have. So I can't wait to play this open world game and find out how it messes up.
There's definitely 3D Sonic has had a whole bunch of missteps. 06 is the biggest one.
That's the greatest
that we
game.
could talk
Excuse
about.
me, that is an avant-garde masterpiece.
Werehog, and then it kind of came back with like colors and
Generations. I'd say was good.
Yeah, Generations was good. They went a bit weird with Forces, allowing everyone to make their own OC. Please do not copy. But it was still like at its core, the gameplay is fun. It's fun and it's dumb. It is. I promise. But to take what is normally very like structured linear gameplay and putting that in an open world, we've never had a Sonic that you can just take off across a wide open world. The closest that we've ever been was the hub world of Sonic Adventure, which was a pretty crap hub world.
Yeah.
So it was like the streets, and then you go into the train station, and then there's the casino area, and then there's the island that's fallen that normally has the Master Emerald on it.
Yeah, but like
that was
isn't part of what's the appeal of Sonic is like, all right, it's the going fast through a level and kind of getting into the rhythm of going through this thing. How's open world gonna do that?
Because there would just be like, loops and jumps and floating platforms and just things that you can interact with. And
I guess, but like to me, it's not when I haven't played Sonic in a while. But like it was less about obviously the obvious comparison people are it's going to be Mario. Mario's right with the movement is what's fun. Also, with like the level design, blah blah blah. Sonic, I don't really care about like the movement of Sonic and his ability. You know what I mean? It's going through the level and using the environment.
So where I see it, right, is that Mario controls well. Like Mario on his own, like in 3D Mario games, is fun to play. No matter what level you put him in, there's something just like really magical about figuring out the triple jump and all that, right? Sonic, his only gimmick is that he moves fast, right? So for Sonic to be fun, it is very reliant on level design.
Yes.
And for the most part with the 3D games, I feel like the first few levels are really fun because they're still, on rails or in a way like constricted where you have to go this way, but they're wide enough where you feel like you have the agency to like really run fast however you want to, right? And then in the later levels you get to that point where it's like, you gotta jump from this platform to that platform and this platform, and you gotta stop here, turn hard left, jump to that, and it slows down, and at that point you're not running fast anymore. And that's where it sucks. What I'm imagining with this open world Sonic game is it's basically Forza Horizon 5, but instead of car, you are blue blur.
Yeah.
That is why I'm excited for this.
I hope there's some pretty sweet bonus boards to knock down.
Don't expect it to be that, but if you want to think of it that way for now, go ahead.
I feel like that's the best way. I feel like the best thing I can hope for.
All Sonic fans, that's all you can hope for. Just live in your own dream world of what could be.
No, what we need to hope
disappointed.
for is a new Chow Garden. I don't know why it has not been done in like 20 years. We need a new Chow Garden. I want to raise chows. Mm-hmm. Let me get into all of the weird alleles and alleles of genetic breeding and creating the ultimate Chow.
Okay. God, that sounds horrific to me. Not gonna lie.
Well, you just described a Sonic game. That's the word I'd use.
Yeah.
Horrific.
But so this is just like, we got back to Mario Odyssey open world, or open-ish world.
Yeah.
We know that we're getting the open world Kirby game, and now we're getting open world Sonic as well.
Yeah, and we just got open world Halo.
We did.
Yeah, we've just got the open world Halo.
Yeah,
all these
games having the Breath of the Wild moment.
Yeah, they're getting there. They're getting on the trend of 10 years ago. Finally.
So they did show off a lot of other games at the Game Awards, right? Some of them not open world, surprisingly. There were quite a few like horror-ish games that I feel like we could tackle here, right? There's Slitterhead. Slitterhead from creator of Silent Hill.
The not Silent Hill SH game.
Yes. I love how Silent Hill was said twice at this, and there was no actual Silent Hill in the whole of it. Like, even Yves Guillermo was like, wouldn't it be cool if they made a Silent Hill?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
He pretty much just did like Jim face into the camera, like, well, that's...
I'm sorry, I said Yves Guillermo. That is not who that is.
Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, you just said Guillermo, didn't you?
Did I?
I don't think you said Yves Guillermo. Way. Anyway, that's a big
difference. Fix it in post.
Yeah, but Slitterhead, that looked creepy. It reminded me a lot of that Japanese the horror manga Junji Ito. Yes, very that vibe.
Well, because we've also like just this past week gotten a huge update from, and I need to dive back into it, from that other new Junji Ito inspired game, World of Horror, that's currently on early access on Game Pass.
People are so hyped about that.
Just like something about like good, creepy, unsettling Japanese horror. It's not, Western horror about some big, luggish, brutish monster is like, coming at you with a chainsaw, slowly walking behind you, but it's just like legitimately unsettling things, like a nice old lady's face opening in half to reveal a giant eye. Mm-hmm. You just can never expect what's going to be around the corner in good Japanese horror.
For sure. And
Alan Wake with the genre shift.
Yeah, you said
be interesting.
Yeah, that's the one that excited you the most. Like, if you walked away with one thing at the Game Awards, it was Alan Wake 2.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Alan Wake. I'm kind of when it comes to horror games, I'm a coward. And so there's not a lot that I've really enjoyed, but like just the writing and vibes of the original Alan Wake was just, I've beaten the game 5-6 times at this point. I just really, really enjoy it. So I'll be curious to see, like, I'm very excited to have it come back. The fact that he's calling it a complete genre shift should be interesting. I'll be curious to see how deep into horror it goes compared to the other one just being more of a thriller than pure horror. So I'm excited.
And it would be cool to see how much they do with the atmosphere and environment of it, with how awesome Control was at that. So what they learned from that to make it even like crazier. That'll be neat.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how they're going to do survival horror, because like I'm not the biggest like just straight up horror game fan, but there's something magical, right, about like the survival horror like mix, right?
I'm sure it will be that you have a limited inventory and you can slightly pick up items to craft new bullets. Like that would be my guess. Like think somewhere in between like Last of Us and Dead Space. I have a feeling that they're going to drop into, just because that's like such an easy place. It's like not too deep that you're like completely crafting everything, but it's enough that, it allows you to really put strain on resources. Like how important is using your flashlight right now going to be if you only have enough juice for it for the next 15 minutes.
Right. Another game with horror vibes that I was very, very impressed by, Senua 2. Senua Saga Hellblade 2.
Yeah.
That looked so rad.
That looks stunning. Like, the render of that they showed, just incredible. I have no idea what's going on, but it looked great.
I think it's definitely like from an architectural point, it's like this looks good, but then also, especially like I was watching with the show with my headphones on and all of the whispers and stuff going on, like even in a trailer, the spatial audio was so good, but it's also just like, I don't know who you are. I don't know what that is. why does that giant look so hurt already as he's like dragging himself into the cave like a large creepy baby?
It kind of reminded me of like a Titan in a way.
Yeah.
Like Attack on Titan. But yeah, there was something about that trailer because like I was worried about like seeing it and how it was a much bigger scale. Like, you know, Senua is like with all these people now, right? And there seems to be like this big, you know, I guess they're trying to kill that big thing, and it's a big group. I was worried that the scale of the world would become so big that we'd lose that very introspective, personal focus of the first game. I think this trailer kind of reassured me, like, no, this is still about Senua. This is still her saga.
Yeah.
And the voices in her head are still very present. And I'm getting a sense that they're still going to play a big role thematically and possibly narratively in the game. And that has me very excited.
Yeah, it was cool to see more of it because I think when we first saw like gameplay of this, the latest consoles, Hellblade was one of the first things we saw, if I remember right. That first like
I think
teaser.
They gave the cool. Yeah, I think that it was at a Game Awards that they gave that cool in-engine like.
Maybe it might have been.
They had Senua looking at the camera, doing all of this like big spiel, and they're like, by the way, all of that was done right now, live. The actress is standing right there, and they like pulled a door up, and she was there in full face rig.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
So it was just cool to see more of that because it was the first one where we got a taste of like, oh shit, games are going to look like, damn, crazy.
Next gen, ooh.
Next gen. It's the place for all things to look very good, just like Gollum in his game.
I was gonna make speaking of horror, what about Gollum's face in that trailer? Like I was like, oh sweet, finally we're gonna see Gollum, and then they showed him, and I was like, what?
They gave Gollum the Grogu treatment.
Wait, you like the puppy monkey baby, but you don't like this?
I didn't say I like the puppy monkey baby. It's a fantastic name, and it horrifies everyone. So.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about this look of Gollum. I mean, he's always been a strange-looking little guy, but
I thought it was going to be a lot grittier, like maybe closer in model
I guess it does look a little cartoony.
Shadow of War.
Yeah.
The look of it kind of reminds me of that more rounded, chibier kind of character design to that weird PlayStation 2 Hobbit video game.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if anyone of you guys played that.
Dude, I've been trying to find that to play again for years. I don't know why.
I forgot about that.
It's just like, you know, going from, you know, because we all have an idea in our mind from the Peter Jackson films of like,
sure, this
is Frodo, this is Bilbo, this is Gollum. That when they made that PS2 game or whatever preemptively before, you know, we knew that we're not just going to get a Hobbit movie, but we were going to get 3 of them. But yeah, the art style was so much like softer and rounder, and it just kind of feels like they've taken the same step. But yeah, it's an odd one to make us care more about the Gollum that we will be playing as, who, in all fairness, is a bit of a jackass.
I mean, there's a lot of sympathy you can have for Gollum because he's, you know, a corrupted little fucker, but
thing.
But yeah, the way he looks is, I'm sure it's just one of those shocks. Like, oh, it's like you say, it's different from what we know.
I think it'd be interesting to see how the dynamic between Gollum and Smeagol play out, because like we definitely like saw some quick reactions, and then he fumbled the helmet. But is that going to be like, you know, are we going to see a Fable style morality system come in? Like, you know, the more you act like Gollum, are you going to have more options to, you know, bite people's ears off and you know, cut their, you know, slit their throats and disappear, versus, you know, Smeagol being nicer to people and perhaps like getting some benefits or some assistance along the way. Gonna be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Right, you had mentioned Shadow of War earlier, and that just made me remember Monolith, right? Yes. That studio. They're working on that Wonder Woman game.
Oh, yeah.
So how's the Nemesis system making it into here?
I hope it does. That'd be dope.
No, I think that they have confirmed that there's going to be an upgraded version of the Nemesis system.
Hell yes.
For Wonder Woman. And, you know, that might just be if it's some big danger on the Themysciran Island, it might just be like a whole bunch of special parademons. If it's like Darkseid's forces showing up.
Wonder how that'll work, because it was so good about the orcs in Shadow of War and all that. They had such like personality.
Yeah,
that was like the really good part of it. I hope that'll carry over. It's neat to see Wonder Woman get something though, like a big budget, like huge thing. Because forever, like it's all the big budget superhero things have always been like Batman, Spider-Man, that kind of stuff,
Superman.
over and over again. So it's neat to see. And, what's crazy the thing is, like, Wonder Woman is not like a deep cut. She's a huge character, but it's like finally we're getting someone different that's got their own thing.
Yeah, I mean, she's arguably one of the three faces of DC.
Yeah,
yeah.
I wonder if this is like DC as a corporate conglomeration, like testing the waters for something Superman, because I think like since that N64 game, there just hasn't been a Superman game. But in terms of Batman that you can really ground into like the tech and the hand-to-hand combat.
Well, I think part of the problem with Superman 2 is just how powerful he is. It's kind of hard to translate that into gameplay without, you're just running around dunking on literally everyone.
He never used to be that difficult. That, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. That's because he was just kind of stronger than people, and he could just kind of jump better and kind of run faster. And then he's just power creeped into a god that has the ability to explode solar energy from within his core. It's just like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, well, I know like currently his iteration's a little tamer, right? Because I know with like all the reboots, they've kind of they've nerfed him a bit, right? So maybe there could be like a new 52 or like something
hire
like that.
Tom
Superman.
Welling. We need a Smallville video game. That's it. Just like
Smallville by way of Persona. Video game. But like by day you go to high school and you do shit, and then after school you go do Superman shit, Superboy shit.
Could investigate into different issues and stuff with the school
Superman
computer club
game.
And
So I still have the Gollum trailer open, and the top comment is Dobby and Smeagol had a baby, and this is the result. And
Smeagol.
You know what? Yeah.
Gollum's got those chibi Sailor Moon fuck me eyes.
Yeah, that's what I've always thought about that little guy.
It's weird.
That's what we love about him.
Yeah, that's the only thing I remember of him, honestly.
Yeah.
And I guess like he's interested in a ring or something. I don't know. Yeah. There was another DC property there. The Suicide Squad showed up. I think that's the first time we've seen like gameplay.
Yeah.
Because like everything so far has been story narrative trailers.
So you know what vibes I got from that trailer? Sunset Overdrive.
Prototype.
Yeah.
Very Sunset Overdrive. Yeah.
Yeah. It looks very like locomotion plus kill everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like flow state sort of stuff.
And like everyone had their ranged weapon, everyone had their melee weapon, everyone had their increased movement ability, whether it be teleporting to boomerangs, a jetpack. Harley had a grappling hook because everyone needs a grappling hook in 2021.
Right.
Or two.
And then Nanoue King Shark just
jumps.
climbed up buildings like the Hulk, or like the dude from Prototype.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that looks pretty exciting. I'm kind of did they say, is it like a co-op experience or just like more Guardians of the Galaxy type? You know what I mean?
I believe it's meant to be co-op.
Okay.
But I
don't know if
honestly
they
have
really-
not
I
looked
don't
into
know.
it. I think I've just looked at it and assumed like, oh yes, this will be 4-player drop-in co-op, and I've just never bothered diving deeper.
Yeah. Because like I'm on board for that game. Like tonally, it looks like it'll be fun. And then if that's what the gameplay looks like, yeah, I could be convinced. It looks like chaotic in a good way.
Yeah, if they want to do the tone of the new Suicide Squad movie, James Gunn's, I am in. That movie's great.
Yeah, and I'm digging that they're leveraging the Flash for all the trailers, because the Flash is very perfect for, because he's a cheeky asshole. So the whole like, why don't you just mail me the bullet? I'm like, okay, that's we're in for fun here.
And I think like Kill the Justice League is a pretty like compelling, like, hell yeah, let's fuck them up. Like
let's kick Superman's ass.
all the chaotic evil in the world coming together.
Mm-hmm.
Although I will say the interaction right before they showed the trailer was a little awkward.
I thought that was really good. I really liked that, having Amanda Waller come out and being like,
"Oh yeah,
Keely, this is classified. What are you gonna do?" I thought they actually nailed that pretty
weird,
well in terms of like kitschy.
She nailed it, the role, but everything around it was very awkward.
Yeah, I feel like Keely didn't catch the ball with that.
Yeah. You know what else they dropped the ball on? There was no
what?
Muppets. Where's the Muppets?
Oh yeah,
We missed out on the Muppets.
And the Gillette
the
guy.
Muppets have had a special, a couple of TV specials this year.
No, I want them at the Game
they're
Awards.
just
I need Beaker.
growing in different directions. Keely wasn't able to get them.
You think the Muppets, they finally had their big break and
That's
they're
right,
too big for the Game Awards?
They moved on from Jeff.
Yeah, only recently though, right? Because they were kind of indie.
Yeah. Finally got their big break.
Keely was the one who gave them that silver screen time. Yeah.
And what a bunch of dicks, though, like leaving their friend behind then. He gives them their big break and they tell him to piss off. Muppets.
Yeah, exactly.
So full of themselves.
Just in the moment, they felt it wasn't right for
and
them.
how, arrogant. It ain't easy being green. Kermit talking about how hard his life is. And how, what an asshole.
It's not easy being green. It's Kermit's waiting for all of those Razer sponsorship dollars to come in. he's pivoting away from Game Awards and into Razer sponsorship deals.
Razer Black Widow.
Is he, when he say ain't easy being green, he's talking about how much money they've made after all that? Jeez.
Well, that's what he means by green.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Man, screw the Muppets now. They're just full of themselves.
Finally, this is the moment we can reveal it.
Yeah.
How much we hate the Muppets.
If you think hard about the Muppets, guys. Maybe they're not all wholesome
the
as you
Muppets,
think.
they're really acting like they've got something up their asses.
I don't know what, but something. Are there any other things that y'all want to touch on with the Game Awards?
Space Marine. Space Marine.
Yeah. So, when did the first Space Marine come out now? It's been a while. It was
I think it's been over 10 years.
It's probably close to 10 years. So original Space Marine was okay. The concept of Space Marine is amazing. Because Space Marines I have a sword that's also a chainsaw. And basically any gun you want, and you just mow fucking people down because you're.
I love Gears of War.
Yeah. This is Gears of War : Space Marine 2.
No. And that teaser was that trailer was super good. And so my friend's way into Warhammer, and I sent that to him, and he's all like, "Oh, we both so Space Marine wasn't that great. It was fine, but it had a lot of potential." So if they do a bunch of cool stuff with this and just take what the foundation they've made and build on it, it should be really cool, hopefully.
If there was one big thing that they could improve from the 2011 Space Marine for this one, what would you really want to see?
Open world.
No, I don't want
this is going to be Space Marines Breath of the Wild.
Chili dogs?
No, it needs it needed more variety. It kind of became one note, the chainsaw blade is cool, the chain blades are cool and stuff. Not chain blades, are neat, but we just need more to do more enemies to take
more
on.
enemy variety. Yeah,
because it kind of just felt it felt,
get into a combat pattern.
Yeah, well, it kind of felt something take Vermintide or something. Let's say you've just played that and you just stick to one character and that's all you played. You'd kind of get bored probably pretty quick. It was kind of like that because you can mow through people pretty easily. I get the feeling
it's still going to be one character.
Oh, it's definitely going to be
for sure.
Which I have no problem with. It's just they just need to let him do more things. But anyway, so I sent that trailer to my friend, and he's all like, "Oh man," he's like, "They get so much right." He's talking about the nitty gritty of it. He's like, "You see that emblem on there? That means he's this rank in this chapter." And I'm like, "No, dude, I don't care." And he's just going into this. He's like, "You know how all the guardsmen, the soldiers that were first fighting, and then they just kind of stand there in awe." He's like, "Yeah, there's a reason for that." He's like, "Because this universe has trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of people, humans, but there's only thousands of Space Marines. So one showing up is a big fucking deal." And seeing him is oh shit. And because people think of them as angels of the Emperor, and stuff.
Right.
Like they're mythical, and to have one show up is a huge thing. So I'm way into it. It looks really cool. The Warhammer is it's such a cool IP of just nonsense. Like if you want to talk about cool lore that's just fucking crazy, look into Warhammer lore, 40k lore. And like the setting for Warhammer is so ripe for amazing games, and we haven't had any other than Total War, really, and Dawn of War.
And Vermintide.
Vermintide's okay-ish, like, but we haven't had like it really should be. I don't know why it's not like on a top tier level of like, okay, a new Warhammer game's out, that's a big deal or whatever.
Well, I think Games Workshop is very, very protective of their IP too, so that could be part of it.
I don't know about that. Look at all the people they license to. Those games suck.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of the licensing, but from what I've understood, there's a lot of restrictions that come with that licensing.
Oh,
that could be part of it.
Like
where we want it in this way, and nobody's been able to mold the right game.
It's
around that.
There's just so much potential for cool stuff in that.
Yeah, like on my end, I don't know that much about Warhammer lore, but I do remember playing a little bit of that first game and just thinking, dude, it's a big dude with a chainsaw sword and a gun. Like, how do you not have fun with it, right? Like,
conceptually, there's no. It's going to be good. Like, if that's just it, that's the total concept. You're that guy killing aliens. Done. Mm-hmm. Good. So if they really have a bigger budget to do a bunch of cool stuff, it should be super. You'll at least have a good time with it. Will it be an amazing game? Who knows? But it should be a good time.
For sure. I think. Well, is that everything we want to touch on with the Game Awards here, or?
I think that's it for Game Awards.
Getting a release date's pretty cool.
We've probably missed 2 times as much as what we did talk about.
Yeah, I mean, there's another 15 announcements we haven't covered, but I think we hit on all the big ones.
And if you want to read the rest of them, check
link
out
below.
The links below.
There's a lot more stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the Game Awards. There was a lot going on. I'm just glad that Fuck the Oscars made it in again. I just actually canonically in the show, and that
it's a requirement.
Makes me happy. Yeah,
and congrats to It Takes Two for getting the Game of the Year. That's huge.
Yeah. So
I can't wait for in a year from now, the game formerly known as Game Awards winner, It Takes Two.
Yeah, it's
a
surprising game to take it too. Like if you just think of what it is as a game, not what
especially with it being fan voted. That's huge.
I think 12 Minutes had it stolen from them as best game to include a weird incest plotline.
Yeah,
It Takes Two is a weird incest plotline.
No. Okay. Well, I was going to say only a happy relationship there, but I don't think that it starts with a happy relationship.
Well, let's get into talking about some of the games we've been playing. I know on this
by some you mean 2.
2, yes. Well, we've been playing many.
Played others.
Probably. Sure. But how is the Matrix Unreal Engine 5 experience?
It's so cool.
It really is.
It is from the moment you boot it up.
It's pretty cool.
They have, before you get to the full open world segment, I really thought that, when we heard about it last week, I thought it would literally just be some little crappy tech demo. Yeah. That's how these experiences normally are. But they've made a world. They have made a big old world.
Yeah, the map's huge.
Hundreds of cars. Yeah. Hundreds of cars for you to drive, a whole bunch of collectible plaque things that you can go around and explore, a free drone fly camera. It's just so cool. The game, it looks gorgeous, and there's so much the flowing of fabrics, especially once you get to Neo and Trinity as they're in full long coats and stuff. The flowing of the fabrics is what really gives it away as Uncanny Valley. Mm-hmm. But what they do to recreate scenes from the original movie is so cool. It looks near indistinguishable, and for that all to be rendering real time in engine, not a pre-done cutscene or FMV, is so amazing.
Yeah, it starts with recreating the opening shot of the Matrix movie. And like, if you hadn't told me that was a recreation, I would have been like, yep, that's just the movie. Like, it looks that good. And then it cuts to Keanu talking, and it's really him, and it flips back and forth between the model they made of him and then of him. Like, you're gonna probably notice, like, it's not that good yet, but like, part of it is too, I think why it's more noticeable is that he's just in a white background. So if he was like in an environment, I think you'd be like, oh shit, it's Keanu Reeves, like that's a movie clip or something. Like, it's that good. It's pretty nuts. And then, like you said, like you do like an on rails segment, which is fun and stuff. That's all I thought it was going to be ever. Was just this little on rails shooty thing, which is not that. Like, it's not. You're not going to play it for fun. You're just looking at pretty things. And then actually, you find out this massive open world where you can just go anywhere and see a bunch of stuff. Like, it's so cool to see something that is like the first thing where it's like, okay, we're leaving the last gen behind finally on something. Whether that wasn't even thought of in the making of this, and it produced something that's incredibly looking, and apparently, so I don't know enough about it yet. I would tell everybody to go read and watch Digital Foundry if they really want to know more. But apparently, this is going to change significantly how development works too, and cut time down on that because it's going to change workflows quite a bit.
It's gonna like remove so much of like even just like at a core level, like the bottlenecking and the need to like intelligently align things for faster memory access and stuff. If you just don't need to bother about that's huge.
So it's not even just on a visual level, but a technical level for developers. It should be crazy. So when we see like the first big like Unreal Engine 5 games that were just totally made for this new gen, should be
like Fortnite.
The last two iterations of UDK have been huge. Like going from Unreal Script in 3 to not Unreal Script in 4 to what 5 is becoming is just insane. Because I was working in UDK 3 in college, and it was unwieldy. It was difficult. There was not good documentation unless you had a direct connection with Epic. But like looking at how it's changed over the years, like other engines are going to have a hard time competing because Epic is just putting so much into the development kit and making it so easy for indie developers and everybody to get into. I think that we're going to see a huge progression in game development over the next couple of years.
Outside of the realm of specifically video games as well.
Yep.
Because it's true. It's unreal that the Star Wars shows are shot using, right?
Yeah, Mandalorian.
Mandalorian's like got this. They have like a big circular stage or something from what I saw that they were filming in, which is just using really cool.
Unreal Engine 5 behind it. It's pretty nuts. So like if you're lucky enough to have PS5 or Series X, which is the only way to play it, it's worth downloading. It's not going to take a lot of time to download, and it's not going to take a lot of time to go through, but it's I don't know. It's crazy.
You could also find, because there is, the open world segment is open world, you wouldn't have the freedom to move around, but a whole bunch of YouTubers and stuff are already putting in like that opening clip. I think that opening clip is like specifically the thing that you would like want to see. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of settings and stuff that you can get deep into.
If you want to go like
in the open world segment,
light, go for it.
But just watching that opening sequence and how they like, shift, like they pretty much like fade wipe, current day Keanu Reeves into, the original Matrix's Keanu Reeves, and it looks good.
Yeah. There's just all kinds of little detail, like you're shooting out the back of a car, and there's a bunch of broken glass on the back of the car that like slides around as the car moves, like with actual movement. And there's little, like I'm sure there's 100 things to look at in like every little scene where it's like, oh shit, that's happening, and then like it's pretty crazy. Like, if you're at all interested in the tech of game development, or just want to see what games could potentially be looking like in the relatively near future, take a look at Matrix Awakens. It's pretty rad.
Hell yeah.
And it's free.
Matrix Awakens.
Free, and it doesn't take much time. Like, it's totally, and you could delete it real quick after. It's not a big download. It's like 20-something gigs.
I think it's like 20 gigs.
Yeah, it's totally worth it if you're at all interested.
Hell yeah. I want to shift gears. I want to talk about Halo Infinite, the campaign. The Master Chief is back. He is here. I know, Stretch, you talked about it a bit last week because you got the early preview code. I think the rest of us have now gotten some time.
Now I can talk about everything, though.
Yeah, so yeah, tell us, what's it like when Sora shows up at the end?
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
It's really fantastic that they had the critical mode ending there for Sora to show up and shake hands with Master Chief, and then it like fades to black, and then it says, Kratos will appear in the next Halo, as the kind of crossover universe that they're building is so fantastic.
Right? Is Chief worthy? Is he a Keyblade wielder?
Not yet. He's gonna have to be trained by Donald and Chip and Dale.
Gotcha. Okay.
But he's gonna start working on that pretty regimentedly.
Cool. I can't wait to see the gummy ship show up in Halo. But Halo Infinite. Wow. He has a grappling hook now.
He does.
Dude, I did not use vehicles. You get the fobs, right? And they're like, you want to spawn a vehicle? I'm like, fuck no, I got a grappling hook. And I'm just eating up mountains. It's great.
Yeah, you're like, what's it, Ricardo?
Yeah, Rico.
There's something really satisfying, even in like the cross traversal, kind of nailing that like short jump to grapple and then to time that bounce just right so that you get like propelled momentum. Oh, it's so much fun. It just feels good.
Yeah, I like even kind of like whipping yourself around a corner. That is just fun. That is just like, look, I described the grappling hook to some of my friends as like, just imagine what the best grappling hook in a video game could be like. And this is probably pretty close to that. There are moments where I know we've joked a lot about Just Cause, but there are moments where my brain is like, and then press A to open your parachute. Because I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to like just fucking slingshot myself up, but...
Well, have you got the thruster yet? Because then you need to do the grapple bounce into thruster and then send yourself flying and then rocket launch a warthog and attach to it.
No, I haven't gotten that. I've gotten... I just finished the tower, so I'm still pretty early in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you see the Craig Easter egg on top?
No, I didn't.
That up on top is where one of the skulls is, but there's also a huge sound system set up for Craig while he goes on tour.
Oh, cute.
And you can find like a vinyl with a list of his songs on it.
Nice.
They went ham into the Craig Easter eggs.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, there was a little while when I first got to the open world, I was like trying to be really, really cognizant of collectibles because I know there's a lot here. And I realized at some point I was just like, I'm not having fun by playing the game that way, because then I'm like checking literally every nook and cranny and I'm like, this just isn't exciting or engaging. So there was a point where I made the decision where like, if I run into a collectible, I'll grab it. But if I don't care. And I've been having way more fun with it.
I will say the collectibles, especially the audio logs, every single one was interesting. Like it had an interesting story that it was telling throughout. And so I do appreciate that it wasn't just like, hey, collect all this shit, but like it actually provides more lore and backstory and some extra stuff for that effort in finding them. It also gives me an excuse to try and get as high as possible on every single mountain and structure. So
yeah. Yeah, there's definitely some really cool placements of some of the collectibles that like really force you to figure out how to get them and stuff. Once you like get your rec level high enough and you can pull in the wasp though, that is such a fun weapon, and especially like getting to the high value targets and stuff and just sweeping through and absolutely demolishing with a with a wasp from the sky. So much fun.
And can we talk about the grunts? Because
they're so
the
good.
grunt dialogue is
so funny.
Phenomenal. I don't know what one of them said, but I was losing it. I was laughing so hard.
Like there's one where I killed a brute and one of the grunts said, yeah, I didn't like that guy anyway. Like, this is great.
Yeah.
Like I need to go back and like check that IYBD skull on, because it's like, if this is how funny the dialogue is normally, what is their weird dialogue gonna be?
I think I was trying to kill one and he ran around the corner and I just heard him like yell. He's like, leave me alone. I have to figure out how to kill you.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah, there was one where I was like running away for cover and he's like, wow, he's running away faster than I do. It's good stuff, man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
even
Whoever came up
the
with those
bands when they
lines.
kill you as well. You know, when they kill you and it's like, oh, for the glory of Atriox, or you know, it's like, aha, I did it. He's dead.
Yeah.
The grunts or the brutes and the elites are very serious when they kill you, and the grunts are just hilarious.
Just absolute shit trash.
For sure. I want to ask, because this is my, you know, I mean, I played Halo 5 first, so way back in, you know, a few years ago. That was my first like Halo campaign experience. I didn't even beat it. This is, you know, my second time around, and I have to ask the veterans on the pod here, can any of you explain to me why Master Chief is cool?
As in,
that's pretty good.
I mean, it's a genuine question. I'm very curious. Like,
as in, like, why do people like respect him so much, or why is he just such a badass?
yeah, well, I guess I'm just thinking in terms of dialogue, because there's just so much, especially like the first 2 hours. You know, there's just shit like, what's his face, Echo 216, the like the pilot.
The pilot.
You know, he's kind of your Sancho Villa kind of ish. But you know, he says shit like, "Hey Chief, how do you know this isn't a trap?" And then Chief fucking steps in and just says, "I don't." But you know, it's just like it's like why is that?
I'm failing to see how you don't think that's fucking rad. Like, he's like, I don't.
When
he's
that
like,
music
I
comes
don't
on, though,
care.
you know shit's about to happen.
Yeah, you know, it's just like, do you even have a plan? No. You know, it's like, all right,
he just
I don't know.
kicks ass,
Doesn't
takes
say
names,
any-
and keeps going.
like he's
It's
a man of few words, literally, right? And I guess there's room for that to be like badass and cool, but there's just points where it kind of feels like a parody almost.
When
to
you
me.
get later on, there's some impactful stuff, like some dialogue that you're just like, oh shit.
Yeah,
that you've
Chief
never
is-
seen from a Halo game. So I feel like they had a lot of heart with this one, and kind of tying in a couple of different relationships without saying anything spoilery.
Chief has always had those, you know, I'm just gonna go in, kick ass, take names, that's it. And it's always been the dynamic between him and Cortana, and Cortana has also always been such a straight-laced character. But to have, you know, the weapon being, you know, new and childlike isn't the right term, but whimsical almost.
Wonderment.
Yeah, and then to have the pilot who's like the everyman character, like the times where, you know, the pilot's like, okay, so we can call in for reinforcements and then we can get the fuck off this Halo ring, right? He goes, no, we've got to kill them all.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, but what do you mean kill them all? And it's really great to have that like sense of the everyman, the humanity there. And yeah, as Rut alluded to, there are some really cool moments where Chief levels with the pilot. It's like, look, I know shit sucks. You know, I've gone through some shit. I've definitely failed a bunch, but we're gonna get through this because we'll get through it together. Otherwise, if we don't kill them, then they're gonna kill thousands more.
Yeah, there's a lot in the latter half of the game, I think, that just really impactful dialogue, either between him and the weapon, him and the pilot, or just, you know, these one-off responses to some really deep questions. It to me, it's a different side of Chief than we've seen before.
Yeah, they shave some of that edge off by the end of the game.
Okay.
He's not likely going to cut himself as hard.
Yeah, he's very, very hard-edged at the start, and then as things kind of continue, it's interesting. It's definitely, as someone who's played every Halo game, just a huge Halo fan, it's been really interesting to kind of see the progression throughout this game.
Yeah, because I don't mean to like disrespect Chief, because I know, right? Like, there's a reason he's.
Not.
Well, I might. Well, but I know that he's a respected character for a reason, right? Like, there's a reason people think of him when they think of like the greatest video game characters of all time. He shows up in those lists sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know there's definitely history there and maybe some nostalgia there that I definitely don't have by not having played any of the older games or read any of the books or anything like that, you know? So I know I'm missing some stuff. I just feel like coming into this like cold turkey, like this is my first time where I'm trying to get into the Halo thing, Chief is he's man of few words, for better or worse. You know, that's the vibe I get.
Which is kind of always been his vibe.
He's always had that link in my mind. It's the same with Doomslayer. Like Doomslayer as well is just like he's going to go in and he's going to kill a whole bunch of people and that's it. The most character we've ever gotten out of Doomslayer, I feel, is, you know, people making the memes about him and Isabelle from Animal Crossing being best friends.
Yeah, which is canon for sure.
But like all the time while I was playing and even while I was writing the review, it kept like the 2018 God of War kept popping into my mind that it definitely wasn't as hard a shift as God of War was, because, you know, God of War 3, you know, that format was very limiting, but it does feel like they have added to Chief's growth, to his emotional growth as a character, and not just, ooh, he's bigger and stronger now. The open world just feels refreshing. You know, there's definitely some areas that they fell flat, like, you know, being unable to replay missions, that there's no campaign co-op, because campaign co-op is going to be an absolute blast to play.
Yeah.
When we can get to it. But it does feel like the 2018's God of War for Halo.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do think in terms of the gameplay, right, that they set up the combat in a way where it moves just fast enough where there are moments where you really do feel like, because, you know, everyone always says like, oh my God, it's Master Chief. Like, he's the most badass, right? But then there are moments where you do stuff in the game where it's like, okay, I do actually feel like the most badass. Like it really kind of delivers on the mythology or the legend of who Master Chief is, you know?
Like grabbing those explosive coils with the grapple and then just turning to like a group of grunts and just spiking it at them.
Or running out of ammo and just yeeting a weapon off a rack.
Yeah.
Yeah. The grappling hook was such a fucking phenomenal choice for kind of this, like, you can use it in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm. Its use against jackals I really liked.
Because you can pop them and they pull their shield out, or they kind of let back and you can just do a quick...
So instead of having to like aim for whatever like the tiny divot is to their side, but then I also noticed that they'll put their shield up and expose their head a lot more, which for some reason, but yeah, it's great to just like charge in, throw their shield away, pop them in the head, keep running.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you have thoughts? Can you explain to me why Master Chief's cool?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think we did, didn't we?
Oh, okay.
He's a man of. He's all about the mission.
This is Otten with his famous yes and improvisational skills.
He's the man on a mission that will not deviate from it no matter what.
But the mission changes. They always do.
Yeah, the mission changes, but like the end goal is always in sight. Like he's a determination in human form is Master Chief. I mean, he definitely. I do like that he does have some more Doomslayer kind of vibes in this. Like towards the beginning where he's blowing up that ship or whatever. He's like, "Oh, you got to hack into this." He's like, "But I can't," so he just smashes it. It's like that. That felt very Doom guy. I was like, okay, I like that. But one thing so I haven't played a ton. I haven't messed around enough in the open worldy parts yet. But one thing that I was noticing when I was playing through like the mission stuff, like that scripted stuff like that, it felt very, very old school. Like
the instance missions, basically.
Yeah, those. It's like, this is Halo, and like it. And what I mean by that is like, this is the Halo I always remember, and that there's not really much change of going through this environment. That's not the environments look great. But it's like, there's not much going on with them. Like, you get to like, okay, we'll run through this corridor to this arena-like-ish thing with multiple levels again. And some things move around.
You're talking like Forerunner environments, basically?
No, I'm just saying,
it's kind of like, samey to previous.
I don't know. It's like, I'm definitely playing a video game. Yep. That's, you know what I mean? Like, okay, this is where I'm shooting the guys at these levels. I don't know. Like it just felt like it was very obvious that this what this was set up to be. Not not this is an environment that's real. Or like
so it's
utility of an environment. It's just like, okay, this is definitely where it was made for me to shoot people in this area.
It's like how you load up a level of Tony Hawk Pro Skater and there's ramps.
Yeah, or like ramps where it's like you're like even on
life.
that shit, you go into the ship like this is a control room, but it's like, why is this the worst setup ever?
Yeah,
I mean, great for shooting people, but it's just stuff like that. It was just like it felt very video gamey in that sense, where it felt like I've not played Halo since Reach, really, but it was like.
Probably for the best.
Not to say that the stories are always the most grounded, but there's always like a very like, I don't know, it's not hard sci-fi, but they try to keep it to some level of thing going on. They don't go too crazy, and so this not that this clashed with that and that it was crazy. Just like, man, it's just kind of. I don't know. I wish it felt more like I was actually in the environment instead of a shooty place that looks like it.
A level in a video game.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, because I do get that. Like, feels like a very video gamey ass video game, right? Because I think the way I'm feeling with the game right now is I don't care that much about the Halo lore, like, because there's a lot of that going on, and a lot of that's just going right over my head. I know this because I don't have all of that context, right? But as of like just a kind of open world checklisty video game sort of shit, it really hits that for me in a way that's just super fun.
I guess the point I wanted to know was that I think it not actually needed, but the going to the open world was a good idea for what they're doing in the other part of it to me. Because like the gameplay and the shooting and all the weapons and all that is top tier. Like, hey, that's always what Halo's been like close to the best at, if not the best at doing. And it's still really, really, really good at that. It was just some of that, like how you just basically level design stuff. So I was like, man,
I feel like they must have kept a lot of that more traditional level design in there. So that even as they're pointing at, like, look at this open world, look at this grapple hook, look at these new gadgets, they could also be like, look, it's still Halo.
Yeah, and that's, I was just like, I felt like they could have taken a step to get a little more nuanced with that. Which, I mean, it's just a little bit disappointing. It's not bad. I don't want to be like, this sucks, this is stupid. It's just like, man, I wish it was a little...
Yeah, they took a step away from the formula, and you reckon they could have taken a bit of a larger step. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, because I've noticed the thing I've been having a lot of fun with in the open world is they have those like it's not the forward operating bases, but like the little mini mission bases.
The banished outposts.
Yeah, where like usually there's an objective like blow up 4 of these or disable 5 of those, right? And whenever I enter one of them, like there is some vague semblance of like kind of narrative going on, but it's not that deep, and it just kind of feels like you loaded up like an Unreal Tournament map, and it's just like you fucking go, you just play around here for like 20 minutes, do the thing you need to do, and get out. And
pick what weapons you want, pick what vehicles you want to come in with, and just explore and have fun and
and
blow shit up.
It just feels so video game, right? Like, which is, I know that's so nondescript and meaningless, but there's just something about it, right? That just it hits those notes where it's like, I'm just here to do dumb shit and blow stuff up.
Yep.
That's fair.
I mean, Halo's really good at that. So, yeah.
But I think that should wrap up this episode of our show. I didn't expect the Game Awards talk to take as long as it did, but hey, I think we had some
this
pretty
week.
good
We're sponsored by Saltines. With our pickle sponsorship.
Right, because they go so well together, right? But we hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, feel free to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, or if you're watching on YouTube, thumbs up always helps. Maybe leave a comment down below. Let us know what you were the most excited about from the Game Awards. Was it Alan Wake 2? Or perhaps it was the Sonic open world game, like a cultured individual?
If it was, I'm sorry
maybe be
for you.
Yeah, let us know in the comments below. And also, it doesn't hurt to subscribe if you haven't already. If you need more news, features, or reviews, you can check out TechRaptor.net throughout the week. We're always publishing some stuff. And if not that, we will be back on this feed next week, and we will see you then.